Camden Harrington pushed through the pouring rain, his expensive shoes splashing in puddles as he cut through Central Park to clear his head after a grueling board meeting. There on a stone bench under a flickering lamp lay a young man soaked to the bone, his body curled tightly for warmth, the sight stopping Camden in his tracks. Because that face, it was impossible. The boy looked exactly like Alex, his first and only true love, who had died 20 years ago, leaving Camden with a broken heart he never mended. He approached slowly, his heart pounding, and gently shook the shoulder. "Hey, kid, you okay?" he asked, his voice low, but urgent. The young man stirred, his eyes opening to reveal the same hazel color as Alex. "Who are you?" the boy mumbled, shivering. "My name is Camden, and you should not be out here like this." "What's your name?" "Rowan," the boy replied, sitting up slowly. "Rowan Langford." Camden froze, the name hitting like a punch because he knew Victor Langford, the ruthless rival in the tech industry, and suddenly it clicked. Rowan was Victor's disowned son, the one the papers had whispered about, the gay teen thrown out for his orientation. But the resemblance to Alex was uncanny, and Camden wondered if there was a connection he did not yet understand. "Come on, let's get you out of the rain," he said, helping Rowan to his feet and leading him to his waiting car, the decision already changing everything. In the warm leather seat of the luxury SUV, Rowan clutched the blanket. Camden gave him, his teeth chattering, but his eyes wary. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. "Because no one deserves to freeze to death on a bench," Camden replied, keeping his voice steady while his mind raced with questions. At the penthouse, Rowan stood in the marble foyer, dripping water onto the floor, looking small against the towering windows overlooking Manhattan. Camden handed him dry clothes and showed him the guest room. "Take a hot shower and get some rest," he said. "Tomorrow we figure this out." Rowan nodded, but his shoulders stayed tense. That night, Camden sat in his study staring at old photos of Alex, the man who had taught him what love could be before society and fear tore them apart. Rowan looked so much like him it hurt. The next morning, Rowan emerged looking cleaner, but still guarded. "I appreciate the help, but I can't stay long," he said. "My father, Victor, he made it clear I'm not welcome anymore after I told him who I really am." Camden poured coffee, his hands steady despite the storm inside. "I know who your father is. Our companies have been circling each other for years." Rowan stiffened. "Then why help the son he hates?" "Because I see more than the label," Camden said, meeting his eyes. "I see a kid who got kicked out for being honest about himself." They talked for hours, Rowan sharing how Victor had rage called him a disgrace and cut him off 6 months ago, forcing him to survive on odd jobs and park benches. Camden listened, feeling the old shame rise, the same shame that had kept him closeted all these years, building an empire while hiding who he was. By evening, Camden offered him a job in the mailroom at Harrington Tech, nothing special, but a start and a place to stay. Rowan hesitated, then accepted the deal, sealed with a handshake that lingered a second too long. Camden told himself it was pity, but deep down he knew it was the spark of something dangerous. The days blurred into a routine, Rowan learning the office ropes, keeping his head down, while Camden watched from afar, battling the urge to protect him more than any employee. One afternoon, rain forced them to share an umbrella on the way to a meeting, and Rowan laughed at Camden's clumsy attempt to keep them dry. For the first time in years, Camden felt alive. But Victor Langford's shadow loomed. The man had just announced a hostile takeover bid on one of Camden's subsidiaries, and now his son was sleeping under Camden's roof. Camden knew the price of this choice would be high, yet he could not walk away. Rowan settled into the routine faster than Camden expected, showing up early to sort packages and learning names of the security guards with a quiet charm that won people over. Camden kept his distance during work hours, but evenings brought them together in the penthouse, where they shared simple dinners and long talks that peeled back layers neither had shown anyone. Rowan described the night his father had thrown him out, the belt cracking across his back, the words still burning in his memory, "You are no son of mine." Camden felt every word like a knife because he had lived similar fear. His own parents had drilled into him that weakness, like being gay, would destroy the family name and the fortune. "I buried that part of me deep," Camden admitted one night over whiskey, watching the city lights. "Built everything on the lie that I was the perfect straight son." Rowan looked at him with understanding, not pity. "Then why risk it now by helping me?" Camden had no answer, or maybe he did, but the truth scared him more than any boardroom battle. The bond deepened when Rowan opened up about his dreams of studying art, the sketches he hid in his backpack showing talent that Victor had dismissed as useless. Camden arranged for evening classes at a local college, paying quietly, so Rowan would not feel like a charity case. In return, Rowan helped Camden relax, teaching him to cook basic meals and making him laugh with stories of street survival that hid the pain beneath. One weekend, they drove out to the Hamptons for a supposed business retreat, but really to give Rowan fresh air. Walking the beach, Rowan kicked off his shoes and ran into the waves, laughing freely for the first time Camden had seen. Camden joined him, the cold water shocking, but the joy on Rowan's face warming something frozen inside. Back at the beach house, they sat by the fire, Rowan sketching Camden in the firelight, the moment intimate yet innocent. Camden caught himself staring too long, the resemblance to Alex hitting again, but this time mixed with new feelings for the man in front of him. The guilt twisted deep. Was he seeing Alex or seeing Rowan? The phone call from his sister broke the peace. "Camden, the board is whispering about your new house guest," she said. "Victor is asking questions. You know what this could cost us?" Camden hung up his stomach in knots. He had spent decades sacrificing personal happiness for the empire. Now one decision threatened it all. Rowan sensed the change. "If I'm causing trouble, I can leave," he offered. Camden shook his head. "You're not going anywhere." But inside, he wondered how long he could keep the secret before the world demanded payment. Tension at the office mounted as Victor's takeover rumors spread, employees whispering about loyalty, and Camden noticing how Rowan kept his head down, avoiding any connection to his father. Camden promoted him to assistant in the marketing department, a move that raised eyebrows but gave them more time together, reviewing campaigns late into the night. Rowan proved sharp, suggesting ideas that actually improved a pitch, and Camden felt proud in a way that went beyond boss and employee. Their conversations turned personal, Rowan asking about Camden's past loves and Camden sharing fragments of Alex, the man who had shown him real connection before dying in a car crash. Rowan listened quietly, then shared his own first crush, a boy in high school who had been scared off by Victor's threats. The shared vulnerability built trust until one evening, after a successful presentation, they grabbed takeout and ate on the penthouse terrace, Rowan leaning close enough that their shoulders touched. Camden felt the pull, the desire to reach out, but pulled back, reminding himself of the age, the power imbalance, the rival father. "You don't have to hide who you are here," he told Rowan instead. Rowan smiled softly. "Feels good to hear that." The next day, Victor called directly. "Harrington, I hear you've taken in a stray, my stray." "Stay out of my family business," Victor snapped. Camden kept his voice ice cold. "He's an adult making his own choices." The call ended with threats of war in the boardroom. Camden paced his office, the moral weight crushing him. Protecting Rowan meant risking millions in deals and the respect of his conservative circle. Meanwhile, Rowan started opening up more, bringing home a new friend, Ethan, from art class, a kind 24-year-old who made Rowan laugh in ways Camden envied. Watching them chat, Camden felt a sting of jealousy he had no right to. That night alone, he confronted the truth. He was falling for Rowan, the son of his enemy, the echo of his lost love, and the choice to act on it would shatter everything. The following week, a tabloid hint appeared online: Billionaire, seen with mystery young man raising questions. Camden shut it down, but the damage started, the board questioning his judgment, family calling for explanations. Rowan noticed the strain. "I never wanted to be your problem," he said one night. Camden took his hand for the first time. "You're not a problem, you're the first real thing in my life in years." The words hung heavy with unspoken promise, and the cost they both knew was coming. The leak exploded on a Monday morning. Front page photo of Camden and Rowan leaving the office together, captioned "Billionaire harbors rivals disowned son." Phones rang nonstop, Victor demanding a meeting, the board calling emergency session. Camden stood firm, telling Rowan to stay home, but Rowan insisted on facing it. "I won't hide anymore," he said, his voice steady despite fear in his eyes. At the confrontation, Victor stormed into the conference room, pointing at Rowan. "You think you can steal my son to sabotage me?" Rowan stepped forward. "I'm not your son anymore, Dad. You made that clear." Camden watched the exchange, his heart breaking for the pain on Rowan's face, the same pain he had buried for decades. Later, in private, Victor cornered Camden. "Whatever game you're playing, it ends now or I destroy your company." Camden met his gaze. "This isn't a game. It's about doing what you never did," giving him a chance. Back at the penthouse, Rowan paced, angry and hurt. "Did you know who I was from the start?" Camden admitted the recognition, but swore the help was genuine. The betrayal hit Rowan hard. He packed a bag ready to leave, but Camden blocked the door. "I can't lose you now," he said, the words slipping out, revealing the depth of his feelings. Rowan stopped searching Camden's face, then stepped closer, their first kiss tentative and full of years of longing. It was not passion, but a promise, the beginning of something that would demand every sacrifice. The next days tested the media, camped outside family, cutting ties with Camden, the board threatening resignation. Camden chose to go public with a statement supporting Rowan and his identity, refusing to apologize for offering shelter. The stock dipped, but Camden felt freer than ever. Rowan stood by him, sketching late into the night, the drawings now of them together in quiet moments. Yet the internal war raged, Camden questioning if his growing love was genuine or a way to rewrite his past with Alex. Rowan battled trust, wondering if Camden saw him or the ghost. Their bond strengthened through the storm, late talks and shared meals becoming the anchor. But Victor was not done hiring investigators to dig up dirt, and the next blow came when an old photo of Camden with Alex surfaced, twisted into scandal. The price was climbing higher than either had imagined. With the photo leak, the board called for Camden's resignation, citing damage to the company image. He fought back in a tense meeting, laying out years of growth and refusing to let prejudice dictate his life. Rowan waited outside the room, pacing until Camden emerged victorious but exhausted. "You didn't have to do that for me," Rowan said. Camden pulled him into a hug. "I did it for us." Their relationship deepened quietly, romantic dinners at home, walks in the park where they held hands away from cameras, the joy in those moments reminding Camden why the fight mattered. Rowan introduced Ethan as a friend, but Camden saw the innocent spark and encouraged, knowing Rowan needed support beyond him. The moral dilemma hit hardest when Camden's mother visited, demanding he end the association with Rowan to save the family legacy. "You owe us an heir," she said, "not this." Camden refused, standing for the first time against the expectations that had caged him. Rowan overheard the argument, later confronting his own guilt. "I don't want to be the reason you lose everything." Camden cupped his face. "You're the reason I finally have something worth keeping." Betrayal struck when a trusted executive leaked more details to Victor, who used it to poison a major deal Camden had spent months negotiating. The loss cost millions, but Camden chose not to retaliate, instead focusing on Rowan, who was applying to full-time art school with Camden's quiet backing. The application process brought joy, Rowan beaming at acceptance letters, the first real win in years. Yet society pushed back, old friends distancing themselves, invitations drying up. Camden felt the isolation, but also the clarity each loss stripping away the false life he had built. One evening on the rooftop, they watched the sunset, Rowan leaning against him. "Whatever happens, I choose you," he whispered. Camden kissed his forehead, knowing the coming confrontations would test that choice to the limit. Victor's next move was a lawsuit claiming undue influence over his son, the papers painting Camden as predator despite the age and consent. The legal battle drained energy, but brought them closer, late nights reviewing documents turning into moments of quiet support. The internal conflicts peaked for Camden, questioning if his love was selfish, if he was repeating the pattern of taking what he wanted at any cost. Rowan fought his own demons, wondering if he was worth the empire crumbling around them. Through it all, their bond held, the decisions made in quiet conversations, the price paid in lost alliances, and public scorn forging something unbreakable. The lawsuit dragged into courtrooms filled with reporters, Victor testifying with venom about family betrayal, while Camden sat stoic, defending his actions as simple humanity. Rowan took the stand, his voice steady, describing the rejection, the bench, the kindness that saved him. The judge dismissed the case, citing no evidence of wrongdoing, but the damage was done. Business partners pulled out, citing reputation risk. Camden sold off a division to stabilize the company, the decision heavy but necessary. In the aftermath, he and Rowan escaped to the Hamptons beach house, the same place of their early happy walk, now a refuge. There they talked through the pain, Rowan admitting the fear of being used as a weapon against his father, Camden confessing the ghost of Alex that had first drawn him in. The honesty cleared the air, their love no longer shadowed by doubt. Back in the city, societal prejudice showed in subtler ways, service denied at restaurant, stares on the street. Camden faced it head on, holding Rowan's hand in public, the act of declaration that cost him invitations to elite events. His sister called one last time, begging him to reconsider for the nieces' and nephews' sake. Camden hung up the choice, made the family ties severed like the ones Victor had cut with Rowan. The awakening came during a charity gala where Camden was still invited as a major donor. Victor attended to, the tension electric, until Rowan arrived at Camden's side. The room whispered, but Camden raised a toast to second chances, an authentic living, the words landing like stones. Victor stormed out, but not before muttering a final threat. Later that night, Rowan turned to Camden. "You gave up so much." Camden smiled. "I gained more." The betrayal from within came when an old college friend sold a story twisting their relationship into scandal, but this time the public split, some condemning, some praising the courage. Camden used the moment to launch a foundation for LGBT youth, the move genuine and healing for both. Rowan thrived in art school, his pieces reflecting the journey from pain to love. The gallery show a triumph Camden attended proudly. Yet the costs mounted. Camden's net worth have the board divided. Through every hit they chose each other, the decisions deliberate, the price accepted. Internal peace settled as Camden realized the empire had never filled the void, only this connection did. Rowan found strength in being seen fully, no longer the disowned son, but a man loved for himself. The story built to its peak with Victor attempting one final reconciliation, not for love, but for a merger that would save his own failing empire. The meeting was tense, Victor offering forgiveness if Rowan returned, and Camden stepped away. Rowan refused, standing tall beside Camden, the choice clear. The rejection broke something in Victor, who left without another word, the rivalry ending not in victory, but quiet defeat. Camden and Rowan walked out together, the weight of all sacrifices settling into acceptance. The merger fallout left both companies bruised, but Camden's foundation gained traction, donations pouring in from those inspired by his stand. Rowan graduated art school, his first solo exhibition, drawing crowds, the pieces raw with emotion, capturing rejection, love, and resilience. Camden stood in the back watching with pride, the man he had found on a bench now shining on his own terms. Yet the personal costs lingered. Camden's mother passing without reconciliation, the family fortune divided among distant relatives who shunned him. He felt the loss deeply, but Rowan was there holding him through the grief, reminding him of the new family they were building. Societal prejudice tested them again when a protest group targeted the foundation, calling it promotion of immorality. Camden faced the crowd with Rowan at his side, their joint statement on acceptance going viral, shifting public opinion slightly. The moral dilemmas resurfaced in quiet moments, Camden questioning if his initial help had been pure or driven by unresolved feelings for Alex. Rowan reassured him with actions, not words, planning small surprises like a home-cooked meal or a sketch of their future. The betrayal that nearly broke them came from an unexpected source, Ethan's ex, who leaked private messages trying to paint Rowan as disloyal. The drama forced a confrontation, Rowan choosing transparency over protection, the pain real, but the honesty healing. Camden supported, without jealousy, their love strong enough to weather it. As months passed, the tension eased into a new normal, Camden stepping back from day-to-day operations to focus on philanthropy, Rowan building his career. They traveled when possible to Hampton's Beach, becoming their sanctuary, the walks hand in hand, now routine reminders of survival. Internal conflicts resolved into clarity, Camden embracing his identity, fully no longer the closeted billionaire, but a man living truthfully. Rowan shed the victim label, becoming an advocate, speaking at youth events, his voice carrying the weight of experience. The final confrontation with the past happened at Victor's funeral, the man dying suddenly of a heart attack. Rowan attended out of duty, Camden beside him, the eulogy cold, but the private moment at the grave allowing closure. Victor had never apologized, but in death the feud ended, Rowan laying a single flower, the gesture of forgiveness not for the man but for himself. Back home they sat on the terrace reflecting on the journey from that rainy bench to this peace, the decisions, the trade-offs, the growth. Camden took Rowan's hand. "I would do it all again." Rowan smiled. "So would I." The years that followed solidified their life together, the foundation expanding across cities, helping thousands of young people facing rejection. Rowan opened his own gallery, the opening night filled with supporters, Camden beaming from the front row, the love between them evident in every glance. Society had shifted somewhat, their story becoming one of quiet inspiration, though critics remained. Camden sold the last of his controlling shares, focusing entirely on causes that mattered, the financial hit significant, but the freedom priceless. Family ties never fully mended, but new connections formed through the foundation, Rowan mentoring kids who reminded him of his younger self. The internal peace they both found came from accepting the costs, the betrayals, the losses had been the price of authenticity. One evening on the same Central Park bench where it began, now a place of pilgrimage for them, they sat watching the city. Rowan leaned into Camden. "We paid dearly, but look what we built." Camden nodded, the awakening complete, no regrets, only gratitude for the man who had changed everything. Their stories spread in documentaries and articles. The drama of the billionaire and the disowned son turned partners, inspiring debate across dinner tables and boardrooms. Through every high and low, they had chosen each other, the actions deliberate, the consequences faced head-on. The love born in crisis endured, proving stronger than prejudice or power. As they walked home hand in hand, the future stretched open, the sacrifices made worth every moment. Was it true that some loves demand you burn every bridge behind you, or false because real connection builds new ones even from the ashes of old empires?